trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare.
Right, hello everyone, Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Okay, there it is. Okay, so I'm Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So I'm on a bit earlier than usual, and that's because I have something to do this morning. Okay, so I have a meeting. So anyway, here we are. So shout out to Vince I Am from the UK. All right, Ethelene, Yvette, Deronda, Lock Queen Candy J is here. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. I'm sure some more people will be coming soon. All right, Adwell L, I hope I said your name correctly. Grand Rising to you, beloved. Okay, so shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. Now, with that all being said, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes, and then we'll get started. Also, don't forget to like and share the video. That's the one way you can support the channel for free. And also double check to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel, especially if you have not been receiving the notifications. All right, thank you in advance.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so with that all been said, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, and don't forget that she sells beard oil as well. All right. So Lock Queen Candy Jason, I'm here for a queen, okay? All right. So anyway, I can't even see. Hold on. I can't see how many people is in here. It's not showing me. Let me go to my phone really quick. Okay, so I'm uploading this new video that Iran posted trolling Trump again. We're gonna go to that first. I think this has something to do with Kark Island. Okay, it's almost done loading. Okay, so with that, can anyone see how many people are tuned in? Because I can't see it. Can any of you see it? Let me know. I'm looking on my phone. I still don't see it. I don't see it on the computer or my phone. Is this showing for you all? Hey, Ashkan Himadi. Vince I am said it's showing one person on his end. Okay, you know how they do. Okay. So anyway, with that all being said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, likes up everyone, please like and share. Okay, so here goes the video.
Well, breaking fuck the news, Iran dropped a new Lego diss track, and I got the whole clip for you. Watch this shit.
Sir, Iranians have released a new Lego-style animation.
All right, so you all saw that, and it said come closer at the end. Okay, so Iran is daring them. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You know, Trump wants to try to take over Kark Island. Okay, so let's talk about it because here's a report that came in. Occupying Iran's Kark Island could be dangerous and risky for U.S. Now, this came in, this report, just 18 minutes ago, and this is from France 24 English, okay, from their channel. So let's get into it. And also, you know, it has come out also that they're supposed to be getting, or they have stationed 50,000. hold on, that they've stationed 50,000 troops in the Middle East. Okay, so just days ago they were talking about 10,000, but now there's a report saying that it's 50,000. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen so you all can see this. Let's get into it.
It is then the Iranian island that handles 90% of Iran's oil exports. Seizing it would give the US the ability to therefore severely disrupt Iran's energy trade. That in turn will placing serious pressure on Tehran's economy. So Donald Trump says he could seize Hog Island, he says, fairly easily, but it would inevitably mean boots on the ground, placing then US forces directly in the line of fire. And as mediators, Pakistan say they are preparing to host what they called meaningful talks in the coming days between Iran and the US. Yet neither side, though, confirming they would attend.
And we will probably, I think we'll make a deal with them, pretty sure. Whether it's possible, we won't. But we've had regime change, if you look already, because the one regime was decimated, destroyed, they're all dead. The next regime is mostly dead. And the third regime, we're dealing with different people than anybody's dealt with before. It's a whole different group of people.
Donald Trump there, when it comes after Iran's Speaker of Parliament said over the weekend that its forces are waiting for American soldiers after the Pentagon announced the arrival of 3,500 sailors and Marines to the Middle East. Comes as there are reports as well that military officials are preparing options for ground operations in Iran, raising the spectre then of another sharp escalation in the conflict. Well, France 24's Andrew Hillier is joining us here on set from our International Affairs desk. So, Andy, what more do we know then about this latest troop deployment, firstly?
Yeah, Stuart, let's break down the numbers then. So on Friday, 3,500 soldiers, Marines and sailors arrived in the Middle East as part of the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, including 2,200 Marines. This is a unit normally based out of Japan. Also on the way, another 2,200 Marines as part of the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, normally based in California, and also reports that parachuters from the 82nd Airborne Division are also on the way. These are paratroopers that specialize in air assaults. Now, let's take a closer look at what a Marine Expeditionary Unit actually is. The key is here, Stuart, you've got to think of it as a kind of mobile as a unit that operates out of 3 warships. So it's like a mobile base. And this is why commanders are so keen to have them operating in their field of operations. You tend to have a large ship with a flight deck, a medium ship capable of launching a watercraft, and then a smaller ship which carries logistics and material. And essentially, this is a mobile base that can go anywhere in the world. So there's no need to set up a ground base. Now, they have a vast amount of military hardware, F-35B fighter jets, attack helicopters, amphibious landing craft, which means essentially, Stuart, they are highly trained, highly flexible. These are guys who can do a lot on the ground. They can storm beaches, they can parachute into enemy terrain onto islands, and they can board ships as well. And that's why they're sometimes called the military's Swiss Army knife. That's why they're high in demand, and they could also give Donald Trump many more options.
Yeah, what are his options then? Should he go ahead with ground operations?
Well, we've had more clues as to what he wants to do, in particular regarding an interview he gave to the Financial Times in the last 24 hours, in which he said, as you can see on your screen there, that his favorite thing would be to take the oil in Iran. And then he added, maybe we take Hog Island, maybe we don't. And then adding, we have a lot of options. He also seems to think that taking Hog Island would be very easy. Now, it's true that a Marine Expeditionary Unit could be used to try and seize Hog Island, given that these units can be used to quickly launch raids onto islands. Donald Trump has already bombed this island, as we know. As you mentioned earlier, it processes 90% of Iran's oil exports. It is a lifeline for the Iranian economy, for the Iranian regime, and in particular for the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. However, military strategists say that any attempt to capture that island could be extremely dangerous and risky, because once you have troops on that island, that leaves them vulnerable to drone attack, to artillery attack, and of course, the IRGC, this elite paramilitary fighting force, they will dig in and put up a fierce resistance. So what are the other options? Well, over the weekend, the Washington Post reported, Stuart, that Pentagon military planners were drawing up options for weeks of ground operations. So other possibilities include, for example, Marines possibly being used to seize islands in the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, that narrow waterway that has effectively been closed by Iran. Now, Trump and some military officials, whether it's seizing islands in the Strait of Hormuz or Hog Island, Trump and some military officials seem to think that seizing those islands could be easy. However, the point is that to hold those islands, that's a different story. That requires long-term strategic planning and thinking. That appears to be at odds with Trump's character. Up until now, at least, he appears to be acting on instincts when it comes to this war.
Let's talk about these peace talks as well. I mean, Pakistan becoming rather a hub of diplomatic activity for regional powers trying to end the war. I mean, is there any hope of these succeeding?
Well, Pakistan certainly thinks that they could succeed. Pakistan, of course, hosting 2 days of talks with top diplomats from regional players, including Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Turkey. Pakistan also saying it's ready to host direct talks between Iran and the US in the coming days. Now, just before those talks, Stuart, Pakistan's prime minister held a phone call with the Iranian president, Masoud Pezeshkian. Reportedly, they spoke about de-escalation and the need for trust building. Now, that second point is key because of Tehran does not trust Washington. Tehran says that every time there are talks, the US abruptly pulls out and attacks Iran. Now, in the last 24 hours as well, on Air Force One, Donald Trump said a few interesting things. On the one hand, he said that he believed that there had already been regime change in Iran because the leadership had changed. He said that the new leadership were very reasonable people. And he said he believes that he can make a deal with the new leadership. He also then added that maybe they won't make a deal. So this is, again, the mixed messaging that is the hallmark of the Trump administration. But crucially, if this, what appears to be the beginning of a diplomatic process, were to collapse, then the fact that you have expanded US ground capabilities in the region, coupled with the Iranian regime's desire and determination to dig in and drag the US into a war of attrition, means that things could very well get worse before they get better.
They're absolutely going to get worse before they get better. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, this report came in. And here's the thing. Why would Trump even think that it's going to be easy just for him to just go and try to snatch up Kark Island? Okay, you heard the guy say it takes all this strategic and planning. Of course it does. But Trump never had a plan or a strategy. He just thought he was going to do the same thing that he did in Venezuela. That's what the fool thought, because that's all he is an idiot. Now, this is from an ABC reporter, Selena Wang. Okay, she's the one that said there were 50,000 troops supposedly stationed in the Middle East. So let's go to the clip.
The White House, and I was just reporting on World News Tonight that there are now 50,000 U.S. troops stationed in the Middle East. There are 3,500 Marines and sailors that have just arrived, and it's unclear what the mission of these troops are going to be in the region. President Trump has not ruled out boots on the ground, and the Pentagon has said these troops are going to give the president, quote, more options. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said that the U.S. can still achieve its goals in the Middle East without the use of ground troops. But look, what is clear is that there are all these forces in the region. The U.S. strikes have not been slowing down from the U.S. or Israeli side. All of this despite President Trump insisting that there's progress in diplomacy. So whether or not those troops will be used on the ground is an open question, but it is certainly, as of tonight, a possibility. I'm just leaving the White House, and I was just...
Okay, I want you all to pay attention. This is getting real ugly. And here's the thing. Now, this is what I feared was going to happen, because I know that Trump and Bibi Netanyahu are just, losers. And they do not want to take a loss, because both of them are narcissists. Trump for sure is a malignant narcissist. But so here's the thing. Now it's come out that they're plotting to nuke Iran. I want you all to pay attention. Okay, because I told you all that I felt like they would try something like this. So let's talk about it. Because a diplomat from the UN has resigned because he wants to blow the whistle on their little scheme. That says nuclear attack on Iran. Okay, UN diplomat resigns saying, giving up my career to leak possible nuke missile strike plan. Now, this was reported this morning. Okay. And the man's name is Mohammed Safa. A high-ranking allied diplomat to the United Nations has suspended all official duties after alleging that the international organization is currently preparing for a scenario involving the active use of nuclear weapons against Iran. Do you all hear that? Do you all hear this? Okay, this is what the devils are plotting. I want you all to pay attention. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. This is absolutely nefarious, but I put nothing past the devils. Java Jazz said, yes, ma'am, you sure did tell us, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Because I know how these demons operate. They cannot accept the fact that they're losing miserably. Okay? Now, with that all being said, it goes on to say, Mohammed Safa, who has served as the permanent representative of the Patriotic Vision organization known as PVA to the UN for nearly 12 years, issued a public resignation notice on X, claiming that he could no longer remain a witness to this crime against humanity. This is absolutely nefarious. Now, Safa's departure comes amid intensifying West Asia hostilities and includes a specific accusation that senior UN leadership is suppressing dissent to serve a powerful lobby that he claims is engineering a pro-war sentiment through a systemic misinformation campaign regarding Iran's nuclear capabilities. Let me tell you all something. They've been doing that, and I've been told you all this. I've been told you all this. If you all remember, thank you, Andrew says, great shows, Queen. Thank you, beloved. I've been telling you all about this whole misinformation campaign and how Netanyahu has been lying, okay, since 1996 about Iran's nuclear capabilities. And also, I told you that what they will never tell you in the lamestream media is that the former supreme leader was absolutely against nuclear weapons or, launching a nuclear attack. He said that goes against Islam. Okay, that goes against their beliefs. Okay? That is not a part of their Islamic ideology, but they're not going to tell you that in the media. Trump's not going to tell you that, and Netanyahu's not going to tell you that because they have to keep trying to make Iran look like the boogeyman. They have to keep trying to make them look like they're the devils, when anybody with eyes to see should know who the real devils are. But let's continue. So it goes on to say, in his most recent post on X, Mohammed Safa expressed concern over the lack of public awareness regarding current UN operations. He says, I don't think people understand the gravity of the situation as the UN is preparing for possible nuclear weapon use in Iran. Okay, he stated this, highlighting that Tehran is a city of nearly 10 million people. Now, he framed his resignation as a whistleblowing action, writing that I gave up my diplomatic career to leak this information. I suspended my duties so as not to be part of or a witness to this crime against humanity in an attempt to prevent a nuclear winter before it's too late. Well, God bless him for giving up his position and coming out and telling us this, because we already know the devils weren't going to say anything, and the lamestream media is working at the behest of BB and Trump. So they're not going to tell the truth. That's why I don't even like going to them. Now, with that all being said, it goes on to say that Safa's resignation letter detailed a 3-year period of increasing frustration, specifically alleging that senior UN officials abused their power to serve that lobby. They must be getting paid a whole lot of money, okay? Just like AIPAC's been paying these people, Schumer, Jeffries, and all the rest. So it goes on to say that they abused their power to serve the lobby and effectively shield decision makers from designations of war crimes. According to Safa, top officials refuse to describe what is happening in Gaza as a genocide, okay? They don't even want to call it what it is. What is happening in Lebanon is war crimes. They won't say that either. And they won't even talk about ethnic cleansing, that the war on Iran is illegal under international law, that Iran posed no imminent threat to world peace. They won't say any of this because they're taking money from the lobby. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. This powerful lobby. Now, they were just talking about this the other day. They were just talking about this lobby the other day and how people were doing things at the behest of them, if you remember. And they also said that's why Trump started this war, okay, because of Netanyahu and the powerful lobby behind him. Now, he further claimed that his attempts to offer a differing perspective after October of 2023 resulted in death threats for him and his family and professional abandonment by the UN. Do you all hear this? This is so nefarious. It sounds like a movie. This is absolutely egregious. So I'm going to pull up his resignation letter and to read it. Also, his post. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Okay, now, here's what it says. Now, he posted saying, after much reflection and after it became clear to me that some UN seniors are serving a powerful lobby and not the UN, I have decided to suspend all of my duties as PVA main representative at the UN and from all UN committees and groups for which I am a member. I cannot in good conscience be part of or witness to what is happening at the time when the UN is preparing for possible nuclear weapon use. It has been an honor cooperating with the UN for nearly 12 years under different secretaries general and human rights council presidents leading PVA delegation. May God bless this world. Well, we're going to need it, I'll tell you that much. So the letter says, oh, okay. So basically the letter says the same thing that I just read to you. But at the bottom it says, early this year, it says senior officials and influential diplomats supported by global media and social media algorithms deployed a misinformation campaign claiming Iran as a nuclear threat and sowed pro-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran, but throughout the region further their own agenda. Now, this lobby was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to world peace. This was a lie and is the same tactic used to commit genocide in Gaza. And the same tactic is being used now to ethnically, you know what, and the occupation of Lebanon. Well, we already see, I showed you all what's going on over there. It's just absolutely nefarious. Now, the UN cannot make this mistake again. Until the reform process outlined by the UN Secretary General is meaningfully implemented, I regret that I must suspend all of my duties. So these nefarious, wicked devils, do you all hear this? When I tell you I am absolutely not surprised at all. I am not even surprised. It's just a darn shame. Now, I hope that they put a stop to this. And, you know, like I said, they know they can't win fair and square. I mean, it isn't Iran's fault that you have inferior capabilities, that you have people that are not qualified, that you have a whole drunk running around here as the Secretary of Defense. Okay, please pay attention. Please pay attention. And speaking of that, we're going to have to get into it because Pete Hegseth, let's talk about him for a minute. Okay, let's talk about him and his shady past. And see, here's the thing. An article came out about him on yesterday when they were basically talking about his the fact that he's trying to implement all of this religious talk into the military. They clearly find it to be problematic. Now, mind you, the Pentagon just tried to brush it off as though, oh, it's no big deal. He's just proud, of America's Christian background and all of this stuff. But no, they're saying this is absolutely divisive. Okay, so let's get into it because I did a TikTok about this. And then I want to read to you this article so we can get the full context of exactly all this dirt, okay, on Pete Hegseth or Keg's breath, or for anybody who doesn't know or hasn't been aware. This is all so crazy. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ahmadiyyah Shakur. So a report came out today saying that Pete Hegseth has injected combative Christianity into the military. Let's get into it. I'm pretty sure they're saying this because last week he suggested that all Americans get down on bended knee and pray to Jesus for the success of the U.S. forces over in the Middle East. And then days later, he read that prayer about the wicked souls, being sent to eternal damnation in the battle against Iran. Please pay attention. Now, they say he's been increasingly using his bully pulpit to promote his controversial and combative brand of Christianity. Now, the Pentagon says he's simply embracing America's proud history as a Christian nation. However, veterans and experts seem to think otherwise. They think this is problematic, saying that basically by him inserting these explicitly religious sentiments into the military, this could be divisive. Okay, please pay attention. I actually think he's using religion as a tool of manipulation to basically give a powerful justification for violence and also to give an unwavering sense of group identity and to make people feel like they're going to get rewarded for a sacrifice. Okay, please pay attention. Just think about how they were saying weeks ago, this is a holy war, and that this is supposed to be the war to bring about Armageddon and the return of Jesus. You see, this is a way to manipulate the soldiers, in my opinion, to get them on board with it, because many of them know that this war did not even have to happen, I'm sure, and many of them are likely against it. We've seen some of them even doing videos saying just that. So this is a way to keep them feeling obligated, okay, at the end of the day. Okay, please pay attention. You see, this type of manipulation can transform a political agenda into a moral imperative, okay, making extreme actions not only acceptable, but making them seem basically religiously obligatory. Please pay attention. And this is also very interesting coming from someone like Pete Hegseth, okay, who has such a shady past. At the end of the day, this is the same person who in 2017 secretly paid a settlement to a woman who accused him of R-wording her. And this is also the same person that people at the Pentagon complained about, saying that he was creating chaos and that he has like these supposed manic episodes. And there's been people that have talked about how he has been repeatedly inebriated to the point that he's actually had to be carried, okay, from one place to another. Please pay attention. But we're going to him for religious advice, for him to read us sermons and scriptures. Okay, make it all make sense. This is a man who spews hateful rhetoric about people who look like me, about women, okay, about trans people. I mean, he's just full of hate. And the fact that he tries to justify his hate by using religion is absolutely appalling. But also the fact that he's using it, okay, against these soldiers to get them to be on board with this war, in my opinion. Clearly, he's not doing a good job. Okay, the former top spokesperson for the Department of Defense, John Uliot, says that the entire Pentagon has been under chaos and full-blown meltdown under Hegseth's leadership. Okay, so he's doing an awful job. Please pay attention. It's also important to note that the Pope came out and gave a sermon after Hegseth's prayer and basically rebuked what he said. He said that God does not answer the prayers of those who call for violence and war. Okay, instead, he rejects them. Okay, so please pay attention. I'm actually hoping that his prayer works. Okay, I hope this prayer is answered, because when he said the part about wicked souls being delivered to eternal damnation for the war against Iran, well, as far as I'm concerned, the wicked souls are him, Trump, and Satan Yahoo. Okay, so yeah, I hope that the prayer is answered. Please pay attention. Okay, this is absolutely nefarious. Like I said. Okay, and here's the thing. He did basically they have changed the enlistment age to 42. This is how desperate they are. Listen to this, okay? So Hegseth has emphasized that the strength of the military is its people and has focused on initiatives like modifying Army spiritual fitness guides to prioritize truth. He doesn't know anything about the truth. Make it all make sense. Okay, then it also says, recent reports indicate that under his tenure as Secretary of Defense, the Army has raised its enlistment age to 42 to meet recruitment goals amid ongoing conflict. They are desperate. You're winning so much, Trump. You've demolished the Navy. You've taken down the air defenses and all of that. Okay, you're going to snatch up Kark's Island and everything like you said, but you sending all these troops over there, and now you're begging people, even trying to get people almost 50 years old to come into the Army, wanting people that have been retired to come back. They're desperate. Okay, do y'all hear this? And let me tell you all something, what made me suspicious from the jump. Remember when I told you all about 2 weeks ago that I found out from a little bird that some of Trump's people in his cabinet, his administration, had purchased those very expensive bunkers for like $3 million. Y'all remember that? I had an inkling then. That's when I told you all. I said, I fear that these devils might try to do some sort of nuclear attack on Iran, because they're losing so pathetically. Okay, I really thought so when they bought those bunkers. Okay, please pay attention. This is all crazy. It's all crazy. Love Christie says, so they think they can hide in a bunker and leave the rest of us out here exposed? Surely they think so, beloved. They have no care. Okay, Miss AP says, Miss AP says, vengeance belongs to the Almighty God. Amen. Exactly. Okay. Ashkan says, it's like asking a drunk Martian about Neptune. Okay, exactly. Just nefarious. Now, Danielle said, Queen, in their wicked minds, it makes perfect sense. But in the minds of clear-thinking people, this is utter foolishness. It absolutely is. Absolutely is. Now, with that all being said, Hegseth talking about wicked souls being delivered from damnation. I'm glad that Pope Leo came out and rebuked him. This is what he said during Mass on Sunday. He appeared to deliver a thinly veiled rebuke to this line of messaging, saying, this is our God, Jesus, King of Peace, who rejects war, whom no one can use to justify war. This is what he told his worshipers at the Vatican. He does not listen to the prayers of those who wage war, but rejects them. An unnamed senior army civilian described the current situation as terrifying. That's what people have been saying. But hold on, because let's just talk about the dirt. Hold on, where is it? Yeah, let's talk about the dirt on Hegseth, his secret history. So after the recent revelation that Pete Hegseth had secretly paid a financial settlement to a woman who had accused him of R-wording her in September of 2017, President-elect Donald Trump at the time stood by his choice of Hegseth to become the next Secretary of Defense. Trump's communications director, Stephen Cheung, issued a statement noting that Hegseth would be denied or has denied wrongdoing and has not been charged with any crime. Well, the accusation should be enough. Now, you let that have been a black person or minority, okay, or anybody other than a white man accused of that, just like Kavanaugh, okay, in the Supreme Court with those nefarious accusations. But they want to act like they don't have privilege. Of course they do. They want to act like they're the ones being oppressed. You see how these devils love to play the victim when the world is their oyster? And they don't even have to be qualified to get the highest ranking positions and pay the biggest bucks, while everyone else better, specifically people who look like me, well, you just better work extra hard and hope, okay, and hope that you can get a foot in the door. But then, oh, wait a second, let us take away DEI so we can make sure you don't even get that. Anyway, it goes on to say, he says President Trump is nominating high caliber and extremely qualified candidates to serve in his administration. That's a whole crock of BS. Okay, a former Fox News contributor, a disgraced major who was kicked out of the DC National Guard. How is he high caliber? A whole drunkard, okay, who can't hold his liquor. Now, as a previously undisclosed whistleblower report on Hegseth's tenure as the president of Concerned Veterans for Affairs from 2013 until 2016 describes him as being repeatedly intoxicated while acting in his official capacity, to the point of needing to be carried out of the organization's events. Now, the detailed 7-page report, which was compiled by multiple former CVA employees and sent to the organization's senior management in February of 2015, states that at one point, Hegseth had to be restrained while drunk from joining the dancers on the stage of a Louisiana strip club. Okay, he's just ghetto trash. Okay, that's what he is. Now, in my opinion, so do y'all hear this? Yeah, I said he was trying to get up there on the stage with the strippers. Maybe he can go to Tyler Perry and see if he can get hired for a role in one of Tyler Perry's shows. Okay? The one with the male strippers. Let him go try for that, because that's all he's about worth. He's not even good enough to do that, because first of all, we know he doesn't look good. But anyway, goes on to say, the report also says that Hegseth was married at the time, mind you. Okay, so no morals, clearly. And other members of his management team, Essie actually pursued the organization's female staffers, whom they divided into two groups. They called them the party girls and the not party girls. In addition, the report asserts that under Hegseth's leadership, the organization became a hostile workplace that ignored serious accusations of impropriety, including an allegation made by a female employee that another employee on Hegseth's staff had attempted to actually assault her at the Louisiana strip club. Now, in a separate letter of the complaint, which was sent to the organization in late 2015, a different former employee described Hegseth as being at the bar in the early morning hours of May the 29th of 2015, while on an official tour, through Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, drunkenly chanting, "Kill all Muslims, kill all Muslims." That's it right there. That's it right there. Do y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? See, that's the problem. When he keeps talking about Christianity, I knew that's what he was up to as well. When he keeps talking about Christianity, he's saying that because they're at war with Iran. Okay, and most of these people are Muslims. So that's what and then remember what he said about how they hunt down people and kill them. Isn't that what he said? Low down, dirty devil. But he has the nerve to call somebody else a wicked. I find it absolutely egregious. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this video, this report on Israel. This was yesterday when Israel supposedly struck multiple nuclear sites in Iran, and Iran vowed to retaliate.
Nuclear sites in Iran, and the IRGC has vowed to retaliate against critical infrastructure. This is a major escalation in the war. The IDF has confirmed that Israel attacked Iran's heavy water reactor and the uranium enrichment facility. The enrichment facility produced yellow cake, which is a concentrated uranium powder used in the early stages of nuclear fuel production. The IDF also hit an Iranian chemical weapons research facility, but they did not clarify if this meant Iran was actually processing chemical weapons or if they were still at the research stage. Following these attacks, which Iran asserted were on industrial centers, they have vowed to retaliate on industrial companies in the Middle East that have American shareholders or are aligned with Israel. These strikes are going to impact major tech companies in the United States, like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Palantir, IBM, NVIDIA, and Oracle. As many people know, the U.S. economy is being heavily propped up by the tech sector. And Iran knows this as well, which is why they're going after these companies. We are now in an infrastructure war, and this is going to be detrimental for the U.S. economy. General Todd Blanche said the entire administration is terrified of being investigated and indicted if the Democrats will nuclear sites in Iran and the
Yeah, they all should be concerned. They absolutely all should be concerned. Okay? talking about if they lose the midterms, they're all going to prison. Well, they all need to be in prison. They should have already been there, as far as I'm concerned. But now let's go to this report where they say Iran attacked Saudi air. Let me cue this real quick. Said they attacked the Saudi air base. And this is a report from WION. Okay, so let's get into it. This is from 5 hours ago. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance.
All right, let's move further. A key U.S. airborne warning and control system, that's an AWACS aircraft. It was destroyed after an Iranian strike on an air base in Saudi Arabia. It's called the E-3 Sentry, AWACS command and control plane, which was reportedly among multiple aircraft damaged in that attack on Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia on Friday. At least 10 U.S. service members were injured in that Iranian missile and drone strike. Reports say that the aerial refueling tankers were among the other planes that were damaged in that same strike. Visuals show one of the E-3s stationed at the Saudi base in an absolutely destroyed state. Based on runway signage and aircraft markings, it confirmed the extent of the damage to the aircraft reportedly renders it irreparable. It's been totaled. 6 E-3s were stationed at this Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi before this incident took place, and as per open source flight tracking data, those were the numbers. The AWACS is known to have helped manage the battlefield in major conflicts. It's largely known as eyes in the sky to find targets and locate exact locations for attacks and strikes. The US Air Force has flown AWACS planes since the late 1970s. They provide command and control, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities, ISR. Reports say they were used extensively in Operation Desert Storm, that's the first Gulf War, the Kosovo War, the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the counter-Islamic State campaign known as Operation Inherent Resolve. Now, according to experts, losing one of its increasingly rare AWACS could hamper the US Air Force's ability to manage battlefields. Reports say the American troops who were injured in that attack were inside a building at the base. A spokesperson for Iran's central military headquarters said that the attack left one refueling aircraft completely destroyed, while 3 others were also damaged and put out of service. Reports say that they were likely KC-135 Strato tankers. Now, satellite images published by Iran's Press TV also purportedly showed the destruction of several aircraft at the Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia following Iranian strikes. The base has come under attack multiple times since the US-Israeli war on Iran began. An earlier attack on the base reportedly wounded 14 American soldiers. The base is about 96 kilometers from the Saudi capital of Riyadh. Mind you, Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, has also been targeted with strikes in the past from Iran. It is run by the Royal Saudi Air Force. I'm talking about the Prince Sultan Air Base. It is also used by American forces. The latest attack comes as Iran has kept up retaliatory attacks on Gulf nations that it accuses of serving as a launch pad for US strikes.
And I'm going to tell you all something else that I found out that was interesting. President Maduro of Venezuela, you know, he had a plan and he was going to start selling oil to China. Okay, and they say he had long planned and executed a strategy to sell oil to China with initiatives in 2018, aiming to send 1 million barrels per day, okay, to China to boost production and secure financing. Okay, now this is despite U.S. sanctions. Approximately 80% of Venezuelan oil, despite U.S. sanctions, approximately 80% of Venezuelan oil was shipped to China in 2025, often using rebadged shipments. So 2025 oil flows. By 2025, China was the primary buyer of Venezuelan crude, absorbing about 470,000 BDP, or roughly 4.5% of China's seaborne crude imports. Much of the oil was sent to service over $10 billion in outstanding debt to China. Following a 2026 U.S. operation involving Maduro, the U.S. has taken steps to control Venezuelan exports, requiring that oil intended for China be sold at market rates other than previous heavily discounted rates. So you see, this is, and then also they talk about, hold on. Weakening U.S. sanctions. Maduro used sales to China to bypass U.S. economic pressure by selling crude, often at a steep discount and through shadow fleets. Venezuela was able to generate revenue to keep the Maduro administration afloat, despite the U.S.'s efforts to isolate it financially. So he found a way around them. Do you all hear this? He found a loophole. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention. So this is all making a whole lot of sense. Ashkan says, at the base of all of this is dumb Europeans being scared of running out of resources, even though nature has more than enough and power and control, obviously. That's absolutely true. This is exactly what it is. See, this is the thing they do, people. Now, what he just said is absolutely right. They try to use fear-mongering tactics, make us think that we're running out of everything, and also, not only do they do that, they talk about, too many people on the planet. You know how Bill Gates is always talking about population control? And I told y'all years ago, that's just so ridiculous. How could there ever be too many people on the planet when just as much as people are born every day, people also die every day? Okay, so there's a balance in nature, but they want to just tell us all this BS because they want to keep power control and do whatever they want while the rest of us starve. They want to just feed their bellies and get fat, okay, and spend their money. Oh, and by the way, let's talk about this really quick. I'll get more into it later. But do you all know the devils are trying to act as though Jeffrey Epstein was working for Putin and not the Mossad over there with Bibi's people? I want y'all to pay attention. Have y'all heard that? Yeah, that's the trick. That's the trick bag they're trying to pull. And then they said Putin's name was in the Epstein files at least 1,000 times. Well, it was. It definitely was in there. And I saw what it was talking about. He was never accused of anything. He was mentioned, just like President Obama was mentioned. Okay, just like other people that they were talking about and hating on were mentioned. These people are not accused of anything. I find this all so interesting that they're trying to act as though Jeffrey Epstein was working for Putin. Putin's the one that called them out and told them that their vampire ball is over with. Okay? You all see the lies? Now, this has been reported from several publications. Like I said, we'll talk about that later. Okay, if I forget, you all please bring that back to the forefront of my memory, because y'all know I be having so many receipts that sometimes I forget things. Now, let's go to this video of Netanyahu basically admitting, they say scared Netanyahu admits threat of invasion. Hezbollah overpowers Israel? That's the question they ask. Troops dead and infrastructure damaged. This is from 8 hours ago by Hindustan Times. Let's get into it.
Iran is not the same Iran. Hezbollah is not the same Hezbollah. And Hamas is not the same Hamas. These are no longer terror armies that threaten our existence. These are familiar enemies fighting for their own existence. We have created 3 security zones deep in enemy territory in Syria, from the Hermon Shoulder to the Yarmouk in Gaza, in over half the territory of the Strip and in Lebanon. I have now directed to further expand the existing security zone to finally thwart the threat of invasion. I have just concluded a situational assessment of the Northern Command with the Minister of Defense, the Chief of Staff, the GOC Northern Command, and also with the division commanders. I met brave commanders determined to strike our enemies and remove the danger at our borders. We are in a multi-arena campaign. We are striking with tremendous force against Iran and its proxies. We are achieving tremendous accomplishments that are creating visible cracks in the terror regime in Tehran. Iran is not the same Iran. Hezbollah is not the same Hezbollah, and Hamas is not the same Hamas. These are no longer terror armies that threaten our existence. These are familiar enemies fighting for their own existence. Instead of them surprising us, we are surprising them. We are the active side. We are the attacking side. We are the initiating side. And we are deep within their territory. I said we would change the face of the Middle East, and we did, but we have also changed our security concept. We are initiating, we are attacking, and we have created 3 security zones deep in enemy territory in Syria, from the Hermon Shoulder to the Yarmouk in Gaza, in over half the territory of the Strip and in Lebanon. I have now directed to further expand the existing security zone to finally thwart the threat of invasion and to push the firing of anti-tank missiles away from our borders. One must understand that Nasrallah created a large force here. He believed that with this force, they would destroy us. Well, we eliminated Nasrallah. We eliminated thousands of Hezbollah terrorists. And above all, we eliminated the massive threat of 150,000 missiles and rockets designed to destroy Israeli cities. But Hezbollah still has a residual capability to launch rockets at us. And what was discussed today with the commanders here are ways to eliminate this threat as well. Dear citizens of Israel, I obviously cannot share these discussions with you, but I can tell you that we are determined to fundamentally change this situation in the North. And a word to the residents of the North. I am aware of your great hardship. I have instructed the government ministries to assist you very generously. I ask of you, as I ask of all citizens of Israel, continued patience and continued steadfastness. I send from here on your behalf condolences to the families of our heroes who fell in the campaign for our existence. And I want to express my appreciation and the appreciation of the entire nation to the soldiers of the Israel Defense Forces.
Yeah, I think we've heard enough from that clown. At the end of the day, he just needs to go somewhere as far as I'm concerned. Okay, I'm just over it at this point. Now, let's go to, there's messages coming from other countries to the United States. And I'm going to go to some of those messages. But first, let's go to this native who wants Iran to make sure they know that we, the people, don't have anything to do with this. And that we want no parts of it. Okay, I think he speaks for us all. Let's continue.
American speaks out.
Message. I want to make it clear that I'm Native American. I'm American citizen of the United States of America. To Iran and to other countries, China and everywhere else that the world is watching, we Americans have nothing to do with what Donald Trump is doing in his regime. If you're going to hit anywhere, hit where he's at. Because we have our families, we're against this. We see children dying in Iran. We see that how he hit a school, millions of children that were praying and families that were looking for their loved ones and children that were looking for their loved ones. This man has no remorse for life itself. We believe that he's been and copes with these rich elites and trafficking children, raping children, and eating children alive. We are asking for other countries to understand that we are in crisis here in America. We are against this. We are also rooting for someone to come here and asking for someone to come here and to saving us also. America is not America anymore. It's not the land of the free. It was probably never the land of the free. It was just a cult that was building up, because I believe that for many years they've been doing this with our children and selling our children to other countries and buying children from other countries. There's a lot that's going on in every country. We, the people in this planet, and for humanity, it doesn't matter if you're from Iran, it doesn't matter if you're from Germany, it doesn't matter if you're from France, it doesn't matter if you're from Africa, it doesn't matter what country you're from. We, the people, need to stand against these governments that are tearing us apart. That all we want to do is live in humanity. April 11, April 12, I'm going to be standing San Diego, California. I hope everyone around the world could stand with me. And may I say this to all the countries and everyone is watching, that is the Creator's people, that is God's people, and it's for humanity and protecting our children and our families first before governments. If anyone is going to help us in the United States of America, the next president of United States of America should be an indigenous man to this land, not someone from Europe, not someone from other countries. No, it should be an indigenous man. This is my recommendations that I'm asking if you could make this possible.
Okay, well, we already know that the collective, that the status quo is not going to go for that, but that is a good idea in my opinion. Okay, now let's go to some of these messages, okay, from people from other nations who know that we're all over here in danger and basically feel bad for us that we have to deal with Trump. They shouldn't feel bad for all of us, because some of us, okay, some of these people voted for this devil.
Message to the American people. Greetings from Baghdad, Laughter Republic. The proud people of America, the greatest country on earth. Everything is collapsing in your country. You have now become a laughing stock, where 1% is getting richer and the remaining percentage is getting poorer. Some citizens are walking around the streets of America like zombies due to drugs. You cannot continue to live like this. It's not fair on you and your children. We are the greatest producers of eggs. For 200 years, you have been denied human rights, freedom of speech. Don't let your leaders get away with it. Be brave, dare to dream. This is your time, American people. It is your time. Seize the opportunity. We can help you if you want, with good food, which will prepare you for freedom. Good drinks, which will prepare you for freedom. Good luck, American people. You deserve better.
Not that he called us the laughing stock. Did y'all hear it? He called us he said you are the laughing stock, and there's people walking around like zombies due to the illegal substances. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Okay, so let's go to the next one. I don't know where this lady's from, possibly from Sweden or somewhere, but nonetheless, she has a message as well. You know, and some of these people might be giving us these messages because yesterday some of us citizens sent these out. Okay? Some of us sent those out yesterday, so that's probably why we're getting these messages of concern. Let's get into it.
I don't know if this is goodbye, but just in case it is, there's something I want to tell you. Please don't forget that there are millions of people around the world who give a shit about what is happening to you, and who will use our power, little though it may be, whether it's economic power or our voting power or our voices, to continue to support you in your fight against fascism. And while there may be people who say, you voted for it, you made your bed, it's time to lie in it, there are many of us who understand that even if cheating didn't happen, and we're pretty sure it did, that actually the vast majority of you didn't vote for this, and that none of you deserve to have your rights and freedoms and homes and health and safety taken away from you. If you'd like to continue the conversation with me, I am on other places with the same username, and I'll pop a sticker here. I would love to see you there. I've really enjoyed the last few months having this discussion and building this community across the Atlantic Ocean. And I just want to give you all our love, okay? And those of you who are marching tomorrow, like, good luck, make yourselves heard. I'm hoping that I'll see videos about it. I'll make sure I repost anything I do see and share it on my other places too. But all our love and all our luck, and please know you're not alone.
Okay, now with that all been said, but she was funny to me because she said, in case this is good, she said this isn't goodbye, but just in case it is, where are we going? Okay, so she has a British accent. This is all crazy. Okay, so anyway, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share.
My message to the United States and Israel is that it is high time to end the war as human suffering deepens, civilian casualties mount, and the global economic impact is increasingly devastating. And my message to Iran is to stop attacking their neighbors that are not parties to the conflict. Security Council has condemned these attacks and demanded that they end. My message to the United
Okay, so with that all been said, let's go to this clip from a MAGA member. I find this interesting. It looks like some of Trump's MAGA cult members are upset with him. This one is Nick Fuentes. Okay, who's a whole idiot. I'm sorry, it's true. But let's go to this clip. I'm going to use an overlay so I don't have any copyright issues, because this guy is going to show a clip of him.
Racist. Do you understand that Iran has destroyed at least 13 bases? The Pentagon is lying to us. Iran hit the Gerald Ford and took it out of commission.
Wait, am I agreeing with Nick Fuentes? Because he's correct.
And then they hit us, and they came from 17 different angles. They were here, they were there. We ran for our lives. It was over.
Simultaneously, 13 U.S. bases in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, elsewhere, Qatar, they have been taken offline. This is more damage to U.S. air bases, I believe, than any point during the Iraq war. These bases have been rendered inoperable.
And what's crazy is they want us to believe that no one was harmed when these bases were destroyed. 13 U.S. military bases destroyed and 0 reported casualties. The U.S. military got their asses rocked, just like the IDF did. It is reported that Israel's military is collapsing, literally demonstrating that their actions have led to their own karmic return. I mean, look at the most invisible politician, Netanyahu. I haven't seen his abnormally large ears since March 8th. Just the AI versions of his likeness. And Trump hasn't even said his name since the start of the war. Like, they're gonna have to give it up at some point. We can see now that the small hats are losing. And losing bad. When you have MAGA influencers screaming out, you know the end is near. This whole collapse has been so fun to watch. And I'll say it again, Black Americans have been right this whole time. And now they'll be vindicated. There's nothing to worry about in this war, unless you're an overaged pedophile whose entire identity is based on harming children and stealing money. Or you're one of the dumbass whites who voted for him. Other than that, everyone else is golden. Well, thanks for watching. See you next time.
Okay, that was rich. Okay, so at the end of the day, it's interesting to see some of these MAGA minions how they have turned on Trump. Now, this is only because of their own discomfort. It doesn't have anything to do with a care or a concern for anyone else. Okay, things are not going well for them, and so now they're feeling some type of way, and now they want to complain and have buyer's remorse. But these are the same people that voted for him, knowing that he's a 34 times convicted criminal, knowing that he's been accused of all sorts of nefarious things, and that was even before the Epstein files were released. But we already heard the R-word allegations from women. We already know about the Stormy Daniels situation, him talking about grabbing by the you-know-what and all of that. That is just a foul-mouthed, no-good loser and a liar and a whole con man. And he voted and a racist to boot. Omarosa, even though she's a whole raccoon, she told us herself when they dragged her out of the White House during his first administration, she told us that he uses the N-word. But there are still people who look like me that would have voted for this fool. We've seen him mock disabled people. We've seen him call people nasty names because they disagreed with him. They ask him questions, and if he doesn't like the question being asked, he berates them, these reporters. But just the other day, he told them, oh, you can ask me anything. You can ask me all about sex. What type of president would even say something so vulgar? Okay? And nobody that looks like him seems to think that's a problem. Well, I'm not going to say nobody, but I'm going to say the people on the right. They don't seem to think that's a problem. But now you let President Barack Obama, who carried himself with style, dignity, poise, and class, had he ever acted even a fraction of the way that Trump acts? Could you imagine? I mean, they went in on President Obama for simply wearing a tan suit. Do you all remember that? This man had not one scandal while he was in the White House, nor did the First Lady Michelle. But because he wore a tan suit, they went in on him. Because Michelle works out and had toned arms, they just went in on her and were calling her a man. But speaking of that, speaking of them berating Michelle, let's talk about Chilli from TLC. Okay, because now come to find out she's MAGA. Now she can deny it all she wants, but she is MAGA. If you donated to Trump's campaign, you're MAGA, and you're not going to tell me anything different. And if you said something or liked a post where someone was berating former First Lady Michelle Obama, and you donated to Trump, well, you're definitely MAGA. She needs to sit down somewhere. Okay, Ashkan says, I volunteer for Obama, but let's not pretend he was not a war criminal too. Well, let's not. You're right about that. And here's the thing, but the thing about the U.S. is the U.S. starts these wars all for resources. It's always about oil and money. It's never about what they tell us it is. It's never really about regime change. They don't really care about regime change until they see that it's somebody they can't run over, and then they want to take that person out of power and put somebody else in to their liking so they can make backdoor deals and fatten their own pockets, specifically Trump, because that's what he was saying. Okay, that's what he was talking about, the regime change and all of that. And then saying that maybe he and the new Ayatollah, the new supreme leader, can both run the Strait of Hormuz. Do you know how stupid he sounds? You had that man's entire family murdered. Okay? But that man's going to work side by side with you. Like, Trump is just so ridiculous. Sometimes I think he just says stuff to even just amuse his own stupid self. Okay? Because he can't be serious. But let's get into this video with Chilli, because she comes out and tries to explain herself. Well, as far as I'm concerned, no explanation necessary. Okay, girl, sit down somewhere. You already did what you did. She tries to tell us why or how she made this post, or she reposted about Michelle Obama. She didn't know. She's not computer savvy. Girl, bye. You don't have to be computer savvy to repost something or to know not to. Okay, so let's get into it, because here's what she posted. I want to be clear. I am not MAGA and do not support any of the many policies that are causing great harm to the American people. I made a mistake. Too many make. I made a mistake that too many make. I did not read the fine print. I thought I was supporting causes against human trafficking and for veterans. Two things I care deeply about, as my dad is a veteran and everyone knows I love children. I have learned a valuable lesson and ask for grace as I navigate this. Well, that might have gotten away. She may have gotten away with this, except for one thing.
Guys, I wanted to come on here to address a few things that's circulating on the internet that's very concerning to me. Let me say this first. I have the utmost respect and admiration for Michelle Obama, and I would never say or do anything that is disrespectful to her or to any woman. I would never do that. And I had no clue that this repost had happened until I started getting phone calls and text messages from everybody. And I immediately went to my page to see what was going on. Now, mind you, I'm not very computer savvy, so I'm looking for this repost button. And I see that all of these buttons are very, very close to each other. And clearly I was scrolling and my thumb hit the repost button. Again, I had no clue that something like this happened until I got all the calls.
Let me stop right here and tell you how you know she's telling a damn lie. First of all, how you know she's lying is, hold on, I am through. Ashkan said, please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. I know that's right. She needs to sit down somewhere, because here's how you know she's full of it. She literally said this. I said, pay attention, okay? First of all, she just sat here and said that her thumb, I want y'all to pay attention because I notice everything. She said that her thumb accidentally hit the button and reposted. Girl, if you were not paying attention, how do you know that it was specifically your thumb that hit it? Okay, how do you know that your thumb accidentally hit it? Girl, sit down somewhere. Rashid says, she demonstrated talking about giving reparations to illegal immigrants when they get back in power. I'm very much defended about it. Hold on. She said she talked about giving reparations to illegal immigrants when they get back in power. I'm not sure what you're talking about, beloved. I think you may have a couple of typos. But so are you implying that she wants people to get reparations per se? Anyway, let's get into this, because here's how you know she's lying too. Hold on, let's just finish. Let's let her cook. But then we're going to get to the receipts.
But of course, hey guys, I wanted to come on here.
Okay, that's all she had to say. But here's the thing. The people in the comments were saying they don't believe her. Okay, the people were letting her know, girl, we don't believe you. Okay, we don't believe you, ma'am. So with that all being said, here's how you know she's all cap. Let's go to the article where we have these things called receipts. Chilli, we have the receipts. Sorry, boo, but that's not going to fly. Okay, if that's your alibi. Okay, sit down somewhere. Now let's get into it. Chilli of TLC reportedly donated, ma'am, to Donald Trump's 2024 campaign as rumors tying her to MAGA influencers grow. So people started looking into it. See, here's the thing. She must not know who she's playing with, okay? Because on the internet, when they find out something about you, they start digging. And that's what happened. They found out, girl, you posted that about Michelle Obama on purpose, because now we know that you donated to Trump. Okay, on a recently surfaced post on the No Scrubs singer social media account, it prompted fans to deep dive and wonder whether Chilli's support for Republican figures had been hiding in plain sight. Rosanda Chilli Thomas caught the ire of social media earlier this week after longtime fans of TLC accused the singer of being MAGA. Those accusations turned up a notch following a recent media news report highlighting campaign donations made by the No Scrubs singer to political action committees tied to Donald Trump. the National Republican Senatorial Committee and a senatorial committee and other GOP affiliated groups. Now, according to FEC filings, donations from Ms. Rosanda Thomas of Stone Mountain, Georgia, and that's exactly where I saw your arse at, coming up out of Kroger, carrying your bags. Okay? I started to call her MAGA right there, but I digress. But let's continue. And so anyway, so according to the filings, it says a total of $897.14, okay, and includes 17 donations made between April 2024 and November 2024. The majority of the donations were made to Win Red and Never Surrender Inc., with 3 donations made to the Trump National Committee, PAC. Okay, now, the donations discovery comes as social media users on Threads found a screenshot of Thomas's Instagram account, which shared a debunked post claiming that former First Lady Michelle Obama was a transgender man who was registered to vote in the elections in Illinois in 1994. The post was deleted from her page. I bet it was. Fans continue to dig deeper into the alleged ties between Thomas and MAGA, as a scan of her Twitter and Instagram showed that she followed several notable MAGA influencers. Isn't that something? Y'all hear this? Including Donald Trump Jr. and the news network Newsmax and Dean Cain. Y'all know are they talking about Dean Cain that played Superman on that show? Because y'all know he's MAGA, said he wants to work for ICE. But let me continue. On Instagram, those follows include Florida gubernatorial candidate Byron Donalds and other MAGA. Hold on. This lady is a whole raccoon. Black people, we cannot support this. Okay, we cannot. Let me tell y'all something. Some of y'all love these celebrities. I know you do. Some of you all worship these celebrities. But let me tell you all something. Y'all better wake the hell up, because we have people like Snoop Dogg. We have Snoop Dogg, Nelly. We have 50 Cent. We have Nicki Minaj. And we have Chilli. These are 5 Black people in the music industry that support Donald Trump. Now, what are y'all going to do about it? Because here's the thing. These people don't give a damn about you. You know that, right? They don't give a darn about their fan base, because we as Black people are the main ones who support them and have bought into their music and all of that, spending money on concert tickets and all of that. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. So with that all being said, now I've never gone to any of the people that I just named. I've never gone to any of their concerts, but I have always been a Chilli fan, and me and her have the same birth date. Is she serious? So with that all being said, Love Christie said, Queen, you mean she wasn't even at Publix? Oh no, she was walking out of Kroger. That's where she was, walking out of Kroger with the little grocery bags. I saw her. I didn't say anything to her, because I'm not one of those people, because I feel like I'm a celebrity myself. But nonetheless, I did start to say something to her about sending Donald Trump that money. I wanted to ask her about it at least, but I was like, no, let me just mind my own business. But anyway, here's the thing. These people do not care about y'all, okay? They will always be more concerned about themselves, and they likely vote for Trump and are MAGA because they have money. Because we all know that Trump doesn't care about the regular 9-to-5 people or the poor people. He's only for the wealthy people. So these people feel like they have money, so they're going with Trump for the tax breaks and all that. Oh yeah, we want him in office. They don't care how racist he is. They don't care about him being a warmonger. They don't care about ICE. They don't care about any of these things that's going on around them. They don't care. So why are we giving our money to these people who turn around and work directly against us? Are y'all okay? Because we need to absolutely, like Vince I Am said, boycott all of them. We need to cancel these people. Now, if anybody else outside of us wants to go ahead and still support them, but as Black people, we cannot. These people are walking hand in hand. They're in bed with our oppressors. What do y'all have to say about it? What do y'all have to say about it? Now, here's the thing. I really, it's their right And it's their privilege to vote for or be down or affiliated with any political party they choose. That's all fine. But if your political ideology doesn't align with mine, I'm not giving you my money. When you're dealing with somebody like a Donald Trump, when you're voting for somebody like a Donald Trump, you're donating to his campaign. No, I don't want anything to do with you. Okay, it's a wrap for Chilli as far as I'm concerned. It's a wrap for 50 Cent. It's a wrap for Snoop Dogg. And it's a wrap for Nelly and Nicki Minaj. And it should be a wrap for them, for all of you who don't agree with Trump and MAGA. Okay? That's just what it is. Now, are y'all going to be down with MAGA or not? Let me know. Okay, let me know. Because I have several questions. Because F Trump's administration, F MAGA, and all the cult members and minions, F Chilli, and all the rest of them. If you want to be down with MAGA, then F you too. That's what we should be talking about. Ashkan said Nelly too. I didn't hear about that. Oh, yes. It was Nelly and Snoop Dogg. They performed for Trump. They sure did. Vince I am said, say it louder, Queen, for the people at the back. Okay? Yeah, they performed for him. Natasha said, this is MAGA. The thing is, MAGA supporters don't like them for real. Of course they don't. Trump doesn't even like them for real. You know, but they're being used as minions. But hey, I tell you what, they won't be getting any money from me. I won't be supporting them at all. So with that all being said, let me finish this article up. It says Thomas would not be the first notable celebrity to donate to Trump or support him. Recently, Nicki Minaj considered herself one of Trump's strongest supporters, including making appearances at several of his events at the White House's recent Black History Month event. Trump thanked Nicki Minaj during a speech. Chilli has not addressed the controversy, as TLC recently performed at the iHeartRadio Music Awards alongside Salt and Pepper and In Vogue. The groups are set to hit the road. Oh, who cares? Anyway, I'm not promoting her. Well, she just addressed it, and I'm not convinced. What she didn't address, though, was that money she gave to Donald Trump. You know why she didn't address that? Because she knows that we already got the information. You see, it's public information. She can't lie her way out of that, but she can sit there and try to pretend, oh, I'm not computer literate. My thumb accidentally. That's how you know when somebody's lying, when they give too much details. Okay, why would you specifically say your thumb, your pinky, your forefinger? Sit down somewhere, okay? I know most people scroll with their thumbs, but if you accidentally did it, would you really have done that with your thumb? Girl, sit down. Let's continue because we're almost out of here. I find this all egregious. I find this all egregious. Love Christy said, why do they always have to lie? Stand on it. Exactly. They have to lie because they still want our support, but they're not going to get mine. Now let's go to this report because now we know who the officers are that gave are responsible for that shooting at the school in Iran, the Manab school. Okay, they have the two officers, their names and faces. So let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance.
Now, as the US-Israeli war on Iran completes a month, Tehran continues to push for justice for the strike against the girls' school in the city of Manab. Iran has publicly released pictures and the names of 2 US officials that it claims were responsible for the deadly missile strike on the school. The attack resulted in the killing of nearly 170 civilians, mostly young children. Iranian diplomatic missions, including the Embassy of Iran in India, released images and identified the U.S. Navy officers as Lee R. Tate, commanding officer of USS Prudence, and Jeffrey E. York, the ship's executive officer. In a post shared on X, the embassy claimed the pair authorized Tomahawk missile launches on 3 occasions, resulting in the deadly February 28th strike on the girls' elementary school in Manab. Now, the Iranian embassies in South Africa and Nigeria also shared similar posts identifying the U.S. officials. The American officers have been accused of triple tapping the school with Tomahawk missiles in the post shared by the Iranian embassies. Now, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has urged the United Nations Human Rights Council to condemn the Minab school attack. He claimed that over 170 students and teachers perished, and he called the strike a war crime and a crime against humanity. Listen to this.
This atrocity cannot be justified, cannot be concealed, and must not be met with silence and indifference. The attack on Shajar Tayyib School in Minab was not a mere incident nor a miscalculation. The United States' contradictory remarks aimed at justifying their crime could not, in any manner, elude their responsibility.
Meanwhile, UN Rights Chief Volker Turk told the Council that the bombing evoked visceral horror, insisting on the need for justice, and the United States and Israel have both disengaged from the Council and did not speak during the debate, while the US had not confirmed Iran's allegations. And it maintains that it does not intentionally target civilian infrastructure. Initial findings from a US military probe suggest that the strike may have been the result of flawed or outdated intelligence.
And like I told you all, when the US does things like this, in my opinion, they throw rocks and hide their hands. Because just as they shot up that school, struck that school, they sat there and tried to blame it on Iran. That's what Trump tried to do with his lying self. And then when the investigation came back and said that it was absolutely the US that did it, well, then they try to act like it was not on purpose, like it was unintentional. The same thing they did when they shot Flight 655 out of the sky. Okay, so let's go to a couple of clips about that. I know I told you all about this days ago, but let's go to these two reports. Everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Not the first time the US killed classroom-sized numbers of Iranian kids. Because decades earlier, the US military shot down an Iranian passenger plane and killed 290 people. July 3rd, 1988, Iran Air Flight 655 takes off from Iran's Bandar Abbas airport for a short flight to Dubai. Early on, the plane was climbing along its standard route. Below, the USS Vincennes was passing through the Strait of Hormuz. 7 minutes in, airport controllers hand the crew off. Have a nice flight, they say. 15 seconds later, the US ship fires missiles at the plane. The plane explodes and immediately disintegrates into pieces. 274 passengers, 16 crew members, 254 Iranian people, 13 Emiratis, 10 Indians, 6 Pakistanis, 6 Yugoslavians, 1 Italian, 65 kids, and 0 survivors. US officials said the crew thought the plane was an attacking Iranian fighter jet, ignoring warnings and descending rapidly toward the ship. But the plane wasn't descending. It was steadily climbing, still early on its route used by passenger planes every day. And it was broadcasting a civilian signal. On the other hand, it was the US ship that was sailing within Iranian waters, which the US only later admitted. 8 years after the attack, the US agreed to a deal to end the case at the International Court of Justice. They would pay just a little under $62 million to the victims' families and would not admit liability. No one was held accountable. George H.W. Bush, who was vice president at the time, seemed to have very little remorse for the situation.
I'll never apologize for the United States of America. Ever. I don't care what the facts are.
That attitude is what leads to today, where so many of us have not even heard of this. Something that, for the rest of the world, especially Iran, is unforgettable. There's a fog of impunity and hubris poisoning government, a cockiness that many Americans can feel from the people in charge. This sense that because it hasn't faced consequences before, the US thinks, or at least the people in charge, it never will. And that arrogance leads to, at best, more terrible mistakes, or at worst, horrific crimes. The US maintained that the attack on Flight 655 was a mistake. Even if it was remarkably reckless. Today, we confront another fatal act. On the first day of its so-called liberating war with Israel against Iran, the US struck a girls' school and killed nearly 200 people, most of whom were little kids. And just like with Israeli strikes of hospitals, tent camps, and more. When you ask whether the strike on the girls' school was a mistake or intentional, both answers are troubling. If it was intentional, the moral stakes are self-evident. But if it was a mistake, when the most powerful military on earth, on its very first day of another new war, killed more than 100 little girls, how much can you trust it on other military actions? Or really, on anything at all?
Exactly. They're that idiotic and incompetent. Okay. But they absolutely did that on purpose, just like they shot down that plane on purpose. How could they possibly have thought the plane was coming to attack them when it was ascending? Okay, not descending. Like, make that make sense. And it had on the signals. And did you all see how George Bush Sr. was just so cocky about the whole thing? Devil. You all do remember that he's in the Epstein files, right? You all do remember that he was accused, okay, of nefariousness in the Epstein files too, of being a whole PDF file, not just mentioned, but accused. Okay, and I believe it too.
It's July 1988. The Iran-Iraq war is still ongoing, but nearing its end. The Persian Gulf had become a dangerous zone. Oil tankers were being attacked, and the U.S. Navy was operating in the region to protect shipping routes. On July 3rd, a U.S. Navy-guided missile cruiser, the USS Vincennes, fired missiles at an aircraft over the Persian Gulf. The crew believed they were targeting an Iranian fighter jet, but they were wrong. The aircraft was Iran Air Flight 655, a civilian passenger plane. It had taken off from Bandar Abbas and was headed to Dubai. There were 290 people on board. All of them were killed. The U.S. government later stated the incident was a mistake. They said the crew misidentified the aircraft during a tense military situation. Iran saw it very differently. For many in Iran, this was not just an accident. It became a symbol of how dangerous and hostile the relationship with the United States had become. The incident intensified anger inside Iran, and it added another.
And I want you all to pay attention, because when they're always talking about Iran doesn't, when they say Iran doesn't like the U.S., okay, well, they have good reason not to. Look at what they have done. Okay, years ago, decades ago, when they asked the Ayatollah who's his biggest enemy, he quickly said without hesitation, America. And he was absolutely right. Okay, absolutely right. America and Bibi. But let's continue.
Another layer of distrust between the two countries. The timing made it even more significant. Just weeks later, the Iran-Iraq war came to an end, but the relationship between Iran and the United States did not improve. Instead, the hostility carried into the next decade, and it would take on a new form. In the 1990s and early 2000s, the conflict shifts again. Sanctions increase, and Iran becomes a central focus of U.S. foreign policy. Follow the series if you want the full picture. Episode 7 covers sanctions, nuke.
Look how they were just lying on Iran the whole time. Okay, America just finds ways to demonize people. Okay, Mr. Elevation says, Queen, thank you for your award-winning receipts. Not award-winning, beloved. Thank you. I have been rocking with you since Nubian days. Keep up the excellent work. Thank you so much for your kind words, beloved. I really, really appreciate you. And thank you for being, one of my loyal subscribers. Follow me for all that long time since I started. And also for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, now let's go to this next clip. This is about a journalist reporting on day 29. And it looks like he's showing Tel Aviv. It says 3 journalists have been killed in Israel. So let's get into it. Here we go.
29 of the Iran war. We're on the ground in the region, and there's a lot going on. Let's take you through what's been happening in the Middle East today. Here we've watched Israeli jets heading towards the east as they begin their bombing runs in Iran. The Israel Defense Forces confirmed 50 planes conducted strikes on Iranian infrastructure in 3 regions this morning. The director of the International Atomic Energy Agency has issued a warning after a series of strikes near Iran's Bushehr nuclear power facility. He called for maximum military restraint. Iran has fired multiple volleys of missiles at Israel, with at least 1 person killed in Tel Aviv. Footage verified by Sky shows the moment a cluster munition hits a road in the city. Israel's Fire and Rescue Service says it's responded to 11 impact sites. across the Tel Aviv metro area. In Lebanon, smoke rose over the capital, Beirut, after an Israeli strike hit the city overnight. At least 3 journalists working for Hezbollah-affiliated media have been killed in an attack on their car in the town of Jazin. We can see another journalist here picking up a colleague's flak jacket. He says 4 missiles were fired by a drone at the car and at the people who were trying to help them.
Now, this is absolutely low down and dirty, but you know, Bibi had the nerve to sit there and try to pretend that Iran is purposely targeting civilians. That's what they have always done. Bibi, that's what they've always done. And the United States is over there doing the same thing. Okay, destroying whole villages. This is absolutely egregious. Devils. But let's continue.
الصحافة العالمية لترى ما تفعله إسرائيل من ارتكاب للمجازر بحق الصوت الإعلامي. ما هو المطلوب؟ هذه الدروع لا تحمي أحد.
The attack has been widely condemned, including by the Lebanese president. Yemen's Houthis say they fired a missile at Israel overnight, the first time the Iran-backed group has directly entered the war.
عملياتنا بعون الله تعالى سوف تستمر حتى تتحقق الأهداف المعلنة وكما جاء في البيان السابق للقوات المسلحة وحتى يتوقف العدوان على كافة جبهات المقاومة.
Israel says the missile was intercepted, but the involvement of the Houthis broadens the geographical spread of this conflict. An official today said they were considering closing part of the Red Sea, through which much of the world's trade typically passes. Iranian projectiles caused damage today in Abu Dhabi, Oman, and here at Kuwait's International Airport. The radar system was hit, and a large fire erupted at the facility's fuel storage tanks. A total of 15 drones were launched at Kuwait, although no injuries have been reported. It's day 29 of the Iran war.
You know, what's so amazing is the fact that Mike, what's his name? Huckabee. This idiot, okay, I don't know how much money he's been getting paid, Mike Huckabee. Listen, I want you all to hear what he had to say real quick. It's just like a 40-minute clip. But he's basically saying that if you're a Christian, you have to support them. You have to support Bibi's people if you're a Christian. Well, I thought they didn't like Christians. Okay, I thought that Christians are called Goyim. Isn't that what they call people who aren't like them? And didn't, what's his name, Satan Yahoo, just the other day said Genghis Khan was more powerful than Jesus? Okay, please make it all make sense. I'm going to share my screen. Or I already shared it, but I'm going to start this. Hold on. Here we go.
I ask all the time because I'm a Christian, and they say, well, why are you so supportive of the Jewish people? I said, you can be Jewish. You don't have to have anything to do with Christians, but you can't be a Christian and not understand that your entire faith is built on the foundation of Judaism. So for Christians, we look at this as an obligation, a moral debt that we must repay. And therefore, I don't understand anyone who says, I'm a Christian, but I don't really want to support the Jews. Well, how can you do that? But it is not the view of those of us who are what I would call biblical believers that accept that what the scripture says about the Jewish people. In Genesis 12, those who bless Israel will be blessed. Those who curse Israel will be cursed. It gets pretty simple. I say there's a miracle every day in this country.
First of all, Israelites and Israelis are two different things. They're not the same people. And the Bible is talking about Israelites. Okay? That's what the Bible is talking about. Did he read it, or is he just saying what he wants to say? Okay, but hold on. Let's keep going, because this is why no real Christians would support Baal worshiping. This is what they say. Now let's get into it.
Источник зла – это Бог. Не сатана. В иудаизме сатана – это и есть Бог.
Y'all heard that right? I'm sorry, that's what he said. That's what he said. He said the source of evil is God, not Satan. And then he said that he basically worships Satan, not God. Sorry, say what now? Who's supposed to support that? Okay, you support that and you're a Christian, then how are you following Christ? I have a whole lot of questions. Y'all saw it. Let me just show it again for whoever missed it.
Источник зла – это Бог. не сатана. В иудаизме сатана – это и есть Бог.
Mm-hmm. Netanyahu says Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan. He's taken a shot at every Christian and Muslim worldwide. Yes, he absolutely has. Okay, I showed you all the clip the other day of him saying it. This is Ben Gvir, I believe. He says Israeli spitting on Christians is an old Jewish tradition. Let me fast forward past this.
Saying bad words to me, bad words about Jesus, throwing stones through our windows, and hate graffitis, and there's very often death to the Christians.
הרב ניקודמוס מכנסיית דור מציון חווה אין ספור התנכלויות ותקיפות אלימות כלפיו וכלפי אנשי הכנסייה.
Unfortunately, after that, it happened again. It was not that it's a singular experience.
חלה עלייה במספר התקריות
I think we have seen just about darn enough, okay? Is Huckabee insane? Sounds like a fool. Not gonna make me do anything I don't want to do, honey. Anybody that's against Jesus, against God, honey, I don't want anything to do with you. Miss me with it, okay? Sounds crazy. Sounds crazy. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this IDF soldier whom this video, I haven't seen, this is a TikTok. He says, he exposes himself. Okay, let's go to the footage. I guess he tells on himself inadvertently, maybe.
So I get a lot of comments like these from Israelis, and the internet is full of such comments from them. Basically, they're going like, we didn't do anything. What are you talking about? Like this guy is going like, we built a great country with great technologies. Is that why you hate us? Is that why you're jealous of us? Nobody cares about the technology part of it, man. You know who else was good with physics and chemistry? Hitler. He had a bunch of scientists working for him. You don't hear any Nazis going like, hey, you're just jealous of us for our extremely good work with gases. And this guy goes on to say that Israelis don't want war, they have no hate, and if you got rid of your terrorists, there would be no war. I would like to believe this guy. So let's get some confirmation from an IDF soldier.
In my team were snipers, and because of that we did lots of snipers ambush from inside Palestinian home.
Ah, so much love from inside Palestinian homes.
It's a protocol that is called straw widow. But basically it means to take a private Palestinian house and turn it into a military post.
No hate, just turn a Palestinian home into a military base.
The first time that we did it was in the refugee camp in Jenin in 2006.
Wait, what? 2006? That sounds like it was before October 7th of 2023. That can't be right.
You know, we trained and we were full with adrenaline and energy and everything. And after we broke down the door and raided the house.
Again, no hate, lots of love, and raided the house.
So I entered into the first room and I grabbed the person in his bed because that's the tactic, and you need to throw them to another room.
Gently throw them into the other room with love.
But when I lifted from his bed, I realized it was an 11-year-old kid.
Well, we don't know. It could have been an 11-year-old terrorist.
And I had camouflage on my face and it was at gunpoint. So he'd look at me with his eyes and was so afraid.
So afraid and jealous and hateful.
And I threw him with the rest of the family to another room. And when
I think he threw him with lots of technology.
Adrenaline came down, I told myself, what the hell am I doing?
Self-defense.
Is this security? I'm securing my family in Tel Aviv? No, I just ruined this Palestinian family's life.
Just ruined a Palestinian family's life. In Israel, that's a sign of love.
I did that 2 or 3 times a week till I finished my army service. I invaded into hundreds of homes. I dragged, I don't know how many people from their beds.
Hundreds of homes. So much technology.
But then when I thought about it, I understood the occupation is not for security, it's for control. Right? We want to control Palestinians because we want to build settlements, because we want to take their land.
So Mr. Tommy Cook, I agree with you. We need to get rid of all the terrorists. And that means you guys. So
And he was just telling that story so matter-of-factly. Okay, now let's go to this clip of JD Vance. Wait a second. Before we go to JD Vance, let's go to this black soldier. He said the army was a stepping stone, not a purpose. Well, it shouldn't be a purpose for you at this point. And if I was any black person in the military, I'd quit right now. Any black person in the military should quit right now, as far as I'm concerned. We already heard about how Trump didn't want to stand next to a black soldier, and then allegedly, and then how they say Pete Hegseth, tried to stop those black soldiers, those officers, from getting their promotions. Tried to take their names off the list. He's not even authorized to be able to do that. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention.
Officially in countdown time, have 8 days left. Everyone asks me, Dre, how do you feel? I don't know. I can tell you how my body feel. Today I woke up to bend down and grab my mouthwash, and I swear it felt like I broke my back. Day by day, second by second, as always, I'm trusting in God. Because the military is great. It's cool. It provided a lot for me. But it comes down to God didn't create me just for the United States Army. Like, this was a stepping stone. This was something to build and set the foundation. But my purpose is not to be in the Army. Like, at the end of this lifetime, I'm pretty sure when God go down my rap sheet and said, this is what you were supposed to do, but this is what you did, the Army isn't going to be at the top of that list. But that's just my life. So, official countdown.
Yep, he said he's getting out of there, and I was reading the comments on his post, and there was another soldier who said that tomorrow's his last day, which will be today. Okay, so get out while you can. Ashkan said, and they have moved and replaced black accomplishments from the government sites. Yes, they absolutely took that stuff off of the websites. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know that? This is what they do. They don't care anything about black people. They want to hide our history. They want to lie and take credit for our accomplishments and all of that. And Pete Hegseth is definitely the devil himself. He wanting supremacy, just, he just lets it all hang out. He doesn't have any shame. And did y'all know that he has a tattoo? It looks like it's written in Arabic, and I'm sure it's something nefarious. Have y'all seen that? And he's got those white supremacist tattoos as well, just so you know. Now let's go to this clip of JD Vance being interviewed by Brian Tyler Cohen, I do believe. Or it's the Benny Show. He's been interviewed by somebody, but nonetheless, they asked him about those UFOs, just like they asked Obama. And listen to what he said. Now I want y'all to pay attention, because we already know that JD Vance has some classified information. Excuse me. We already know that he has classified information. So just listen to what he says when asked the question. I find it all interesting.
We saw aliens.gov. I don't think they're aliens. I think they're demons anyway, but that's a longer discussion.
Well, I can't let you go without a follow-up on that, because Barack Obama is on this podcast and he goes, yeah, aliens are real, but here's where they're not. And
I did not.
And so Obama says, yes, aliens he gets asked point blank, are aliens real? Oh, yeah. And then he goes, but they're not at Area 51. And
where are they?
Well, that's what he says. Right. That's a great question. Trump had to go save him, and he said he's going to declassify. Okay. So you think they're demons?
Well, look, I think that celestial beings who fly around, who do weird things to people, I think that the desire to describe everything celestial, everything as otherworldly, to describe it as aliens. Every great world religion, including Christianity, the one that I believe in, has understood that there are weird things out there, and there are things that are very difficult to explain. And I naturally go, when I hear about sort of extra natural phenomenon, that's where I go to, is the Christian understanding that, there's a lot of good out there, but there's also some evil out there. And I think that one of the devil's great tricks is to convince people we never exist. You know me.
Yeah. He said one of the devil's great tricks was to convince people it never existed. I want you all to pay attention because he said he doesn't think they're aliens. He thinks they're demons. Yeah, that's what they are. Yeah, they are demons. Okay. At the end of the day, Nephilim. I told y'all that. These reptilians. That's who he's talking about. How much y'all want to bet? He's talking about the reptilians all around him. Okay. All around him. Because let's not forget the reptilians were in Epstein's files. Okay. They were in Epstein's files. So yeah, that's who he was talking about, I'm pretty sure. Okay, now Gadawan says, I have 60 days left, then I'm done. I turned down my Navy promotion. All money is not good money. All praise to Yah. Exactly, beloved. Well, good for you. That's right. Get out while you can, because it's not even worth it. Okay, it's not even worth it to be disrespected, to fight for a country that doesn't even love us. Yeah, please. Okay. Thank you for your insight, beloved. And congratulations to you for getting out. And thank you for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, one more thing to talk about, and then we're out of here. We have got to talk about how Tyler Perry, if you all remember, Tyler Perry paid the TSA workers at the airport here in Atlanta. He gave them gift cards. Now, he was going to give them cash because y'all know they haven't been getting paid for weeks. And in case anybody's wondering, the reason for the shutdown is Trump. Trump can sit here and lie all he wants to try to make everybody think it's the Democrats' fault. No, it's his fault. Okay, they had an agreement. They were trying to come to an agreement so they could open up, and Trump was against it. So it was all his fault. But now, mind you, so these TSA workers have not been getting paid for weeks. They say now that ICE has been harassing and bullying them. I showed you all the video of the TSA worker here in Atlanta who said that days ago. Okay, and so Tyler Perry took it upon himself to give them $1,000 gift cards because, like I said, they couldn't take cash. But now they've been asked to return the money, to return the gift cards. And I would like to know why, because I haven't watched this report. I just saw it before I started the live, so I sent it to my email. But let's find out what in the world's going on here. Why are they being asked to return this gift card? These gift cards.
And folks, you may recall that we told you about how all the agents who support how people are supporting the agents here in Atlanta were receiving a gift card from Tyler Perry, $1,000 gift card each. We're talking about 250 TSA workers. Well, now we're learning they will have to give some of that support back. 11 Alive Shore Preheim posted this online.
What a roller coaster. I wanted to pop on and give you an update. I've been on the phone and texting with some people who work at the airport. So Tyler Perry had gone to the airport with cash, hoping to help take some pressure off TSA agents who haven't been paid in more than 6 weeks, can't get the food, gasoline necessities they need, but federal rules said they couldn't take cash. The following day, his team comes with gift cards, giving it to TSA agents, again, to try to take some pressure off as the government funding is stalled. And then I get calls today and texts today. TSA workers have been getting phone calls that they have to return those gift cards, that they have to give those gift cards back. I just have to tell you, my heart kind of sank a little bit because it's just somebody trying to reach out and help to people who need help. And now that help is having to be turned back in.
Okay, we're still working on this. So we did reach out to TSA officials about the agents having to return those gift cards, and we're still waiting to hear back. Remember, folks, you can watch stories just like the one you just watched with Cheryl Preheim by downloading the 11 Alive app.
Let me tell you something. I wouldn't return a darn thing unless Tyler Perry asked me to. Okay? Wouldn't give them a darn thing unless Tyler Perry asked for it back himself. Now, was ICE mad because they didn't get any? Probably so. Okay, probably so. Talking about calling them, telling them to turn it back in. I wouldn't turn in jack. Okay, so anyway, let's go to this report where these two TSA officers are struggling to pay their bills. They were interviewed by ABC News. Okay, they have a family and they just can't pay their bills due to a lack of them being paid. Let me tell y'all something. Honey, if I'm working at a job and you don't pay me for 2, 3, 4 weeks, honey, I'm probably not even going to wait 4 weeks. You might only get like 2.5. Okay, playing around with my money, I'm out of here. Okay, please miss me with it.
Will now have to choose between showing up to work or feeding their young kids. Oksana and Duran Kelly are married and have been TSA officers for about a decade now. And this shutdown is impacting their entire family. Neither one of them is getting paid, but they still have to show up to work, even though it's not paying the bills. And they're worried about rent, food, and now their son's 7th birthday.
You all, I was laughing at Ashkan and said, yes, I never heard that. I spent it already. No, that's right. That's exactly what I tell him. I was so behind in bills, I spent it as soon as I got it. What are you talking about? Give it back. I already spent that. Please. Okay, they wouldn't get jack back from me. Let's continue.
It's today, and they wanted to take him to a trampoline park, but sadly, they say they can't afford to do that. Oksana and Duran Kelly join me now from Orlando. Boy, Oksana, let me start with you, Mom. How did you explain to your son that you can't celebrate his birthday the way he wants to? And how did that go over?
I think during the shutdown, this is probably the hardest thing I have to do. Sorry, I was not planning on crying at all. It's okay. I think having to explain to him that mommy and daddy go to work, but not bringing any money in. And, you know, he's been asking about birthday trampoline park for probably since his last birthday. And, you know, he was getting excited and he's like, is this something we're doing? And we're like, sorry, buddy, you know, this birthday is going to be at the community park because mommy and daddy can't afford trampoline park. So, you know, it's just a hard decision to make between paying bills or, you know, doing a birthday party for your children.
And Duran, you actually have 2 kids. How did you talk to both your children about this?
Well, Phoenix is 7, so he's a little bit more understanding of the situation. He knows that mommy and daddy have to go to work, and right now we can't do all the extra things that we like to do for him, like take him to basketball games and stuff like that. So he's understanding, but Adonis, the youngest one, he doesn't fully understand what's going on. He just knows that I'm telling him a lot more no's than yes, and it's a little frustrating for him at points.
And Duran, you actually considered resigning from TSA before all of this, right? And we know you're moonlighting now as a delivery driver. How's that going? And do you think that you're going to stay at TSA when this is all over?
It's definitely a frustrating situation, knowing that you have to go to work, not receive a paycheck, then you still have to find another way to provide for your family. So I'm definitely going to keep my eyes open for anything better to provide for my family. So if anything pops up, I'm definitely going to have to more than likely take it at this particular moment.
Wow. And Oksana, what about you? I mean, this is the 2nd shutdown within the past year. Have you had to dip into your savings? How are you guys making ends meet right now?
We definitely had to dip in our savings. I know I've seen, you know, a lot on the internet where people saying, oh, you know, people should have been saving. First of all, I don't know if, you know, people understand that we don't make as much as a lot of people think, but we did have savings. And this is 2nd shutdown within the past 100+ months, days, I'm sorry, yes. And we had to dip into savings first time. You know, we barely recovered from the first shutdown. We had to dip into savings second time, but our savings are not unlimited. Like I was telling somebody, I might be able to pay mortgage this one last time, but after this, I have nothing else to pay bills with. You know, we still have to find money to pay for utilities, keep electricity on. We still have to take our kids to school. You know, we still have to pay for gas to come to work. And most importantly, we have to pay for food for our children.
And you're both still showing up to work. You've had these challenges. I know one of the kids is in school, but what about the youngest? Are you having to pay for childcare? Do you have folks that are helping you with that right now? How is that working out?
Luckily, he is in like a free school, you know, so we don't have to pay any expenses for that. But because they do go to 2 different schools that are, you know, at 2 different locations, not only we have to spend gas to drop one off, then spend gas, you know, to drop another one off. We also have to do it on the way home, pick one up, pick another one up. And, you know, we work 2 different shifts. and we live more than an hour away from the airport. So it's extremely straining. It's, mentally and physically exhausting at this point.
All right, I want to ask you both. Final question: your message to lawmakers right now who are not getting a deal done. Daron?
Oh man, my simple thing is we don't want your pity. We just want our paychecks.
There you go. That's the headline. Oksana, your thoughts?
My thoughts are pretty simple. I feel like they're playing with our lives, and they have to remember when they just say TSA people, TSA officers, agency, they have to remember that it's the real people and real families they're talking about. We all have children, we all have parents that, people take care of it. It's not just some random officers, it's real people.
Well, I appreciate your real voices, because folks wouldn't understand what families like you are going through unless you came forward and talked to people like us. We really appreciate your sharing your story. Please, please, please give your son a happy birthday, and we're going to figure out something special to do. I can promise you that. Thank you both for talking with me.
Thank you so much for having us.
Guys.
I don't believe anything the lamestream news says, okay? Talking about no one would be able to understand their story unless they come in there and talk to them. I'm sure regular, everyday people who work 9-to-5 jobs understand their story, okay? We can only imagine how it would fare if we didn't get paid for weeks on end, okay? And then who people talking about they should have been saving? Well, a lot of people save, but who wants to have to dip into their savings? Okay, when they're perfectly able and capable of going to work, and they're actually going to work, but they're just not getting paid. Please. Okay, Cheryl said he looked depressed. He looked very depressed. Okay, he looked very depressed. But here's the thing. So let's talk about the shutdown. So Congress was trying to fund the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, to end the partial shutdown, okay, that had left TSA workers unpaid and airport security in chaos. Now, the Senate passed a compromise funding bill that would have funded most of DHS's operations, but this excluded ICE, you see. Okay, it excluded ICE's deportation functions. So therefore, the Senate deal was not accepted. The House rejected it and continued pushing it down, pushing its own funding proposal. Okay, then Donald Trump did not endorse the Senate compromise plan and didn't signal support for that specific deal at the time. Reporting from multiple outlets indicated that Trump urged Republicans not to make a deal to end the shutdown unless and only if Democrats also supported unrelated legislation such as voting-related measures. For example, the Safe America Act, effectively stalling that specific funding compromise. This is Donald Trump's fault. Now, because of that stance, the Senate funding proposal that might have ended the shutdown was not taken up by the House, and the partial shutdown continued. So this is Trump, okay? This is Trump. So in the specific context of March 2026 negotiations over DHS funding, Trump did not back a particular deal that would have ended the shutdown. So whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? It's Trump's fault. That's whose fault it is. Okay, it's Trump's. I wish more of his MAGA minions worked these government jobs where they weren't getting paid so they could really feel the burn. But most of them don't work government jobs because they're felons. Okay, most of them are whole felons. Okay, but this whole thing that's going on right now to me just reminded me of a game of poker. I want you all to pay attention. Look at your phones, everybody. I want you all to see and witness for yourselves. For those of you who don't know, how ScrewTube just shadow bans me, hates on me. I want y'all to see. It literally shows that 2 people are watching this darn live. Now, first it said 0, then it said 1 for the longest. Now it says 2. But mind you, there's over 200 likes. So how's only 2 people watching? I just want you all to pay attention. This is what the devils do. But anyway, so let's go to this last video. I know I said that was the last one, but I forgot this guy right here. He pretty much goes in about the U.S. So let's get into it, and then we're out of here. But I will be back later today. I will be back later today because, listen, I actually have a documentary that I want you all to see. It's about something nefarious that happened in a prison. Okay, and then also I want to talk about this episode that I saw, or this podcast, or not even a podcast, this news report I saw where they were talking about, the question was, are Black women like disrespected and, you know, discounted? And they had these two Caucasian women. Well, no, they had one Caucasian woman and one Latina woman. And the things that they were saying were just so ridiculous. And I want you all, and then they had like 3 Black women on there. Then they had men come on there, Black men come on there and talk about it. So we're going to go to that later because I want to hear you all's thoughts on it. Okay, so let's get into this. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. He's going in.
Government continues to blindly support Israel, even when it's killing women and children every single day because of bribes, campaign contributions, lobbies. Look at those senators who are the most proponents of the war against Gaza, who are the biggest supporters of Israel. You'll see AIPAC donated the most to them. This is public record. This is public information, but people don't care. People don't get it. Americans are not waking up. Even though most Americans agree we have a problem. According to Pew Research, 71% of Americans, they believe that there should be a cap on how much lobbies and firms and people can donate to campaigns. When a candidate accepts bribes, campaign contributions, you name it, you can't trust them. I can't trust them to do the job. I can't trust them to serve justice. The United States government.
Okay, he's absolutely right. How do we trust these people when they're out here being bought and sold? And how is this even legal? Okay, please make it all make sense. Now I want you all to pay attention. When I'm looking in my studio, I'm about to conclude the broadcast. Now I want you all to see this. Goodness Rated Bo says, I am the only one watching you, Queen. This is what YouTube is telling me. They're trying to cheat me out of my views. I'm telling you that right now, because when I look in the studio, there's 791. I'm about to screenshot it. So when I say something to them later, they can't even think about trying to lie, because they love to try to lie. Okay? I want y'all to pay attention. Yeah, it's showing me that 791 people watching. Okay, so listen. I appreciate you all for being here so early. Okay, because I started early today. I started like, what time did I start? Like 6:30? And with that all being said, I'll be back later this evening. Okay, so yeah, it is wicked, isn't it, beloved? It absolutely is, Leonard Judah. Okay, the Judah. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, listen, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoyed the broadcast. I will be back later to see you all. And with that all being said, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Yeah. You crossed the ocean just to find your grave. Sacrificed your own boys for a lie. Listen. Yeah. Yeah. Make America great again. Yo, Tails, this shit crazy. Yeah. Make America great again now. We will see what happens, yeah. Watch this. Sacred defense, we protecting the soil. While you sacrifice soldiers to pay for your spoil. You first who ran the blow, sitting on your throne. Now we turning every base into a bed of stone. It's a slaughterhouse, a trap you couldn't see. Welcome to the graveyard of your vanity. The secrets are leaking. The pressure is rising. We locked on the target. And now you are hiding. LOSC. Yeah, we spelling at your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a fucker while you shaking in your sweet. LOSC. Taste the ash of defeat. LOSC. Yeah, we spelling at your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a fucker while you shaking in your sweet. LOSC. Taste the ash of defeat.
Epstein's ghost. You sent your boys to die on the bloody coast. Not a revenge for the leader's blood is purely mine. Every drop of his blood is a missile on the line. You thought you took him out, thought the fire was dead, but another Khamenei is standing ahead. Yeah, you strike one down, we just shatter your brain. We put another in the lid. Khamenei again. The secrets are leaking. The pressure is rising. We locked on the target. And now you are hiding. L-O-S-C-R. Yeah, we spelling out your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. L-O-S-C-R. Taste the ash. L-O-S-C-R. Yeah, we spelling out your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. L-O-S-C-R. Taste the ash of defeat. Sacred defense of the homeland. Sacred defense of the homeland. Sacred defense of the homeland.